Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some seriously mind-bending stuff today. You guys sent in some wild excerpts about active inference, reality, like what even is reality, right? We're talking Anil Seth's Being You, Donald Hoffman's Case Against Reality, the works.
Yeah, looks like someone's been doing their homework.
This deep dive is going to be a trip. So, active inference, where do we even start with that?
Oh, I've got an example. Imagine it's a sunny morning, you step outside, your lawn is soaked. Now, the question is, did it rain last night or did you forget to turn off the sprinkler?
That, my friend, is your brain on active inference. It's like Seth says in Being You, our brains are constantly making predictions, trying to figure out the world around us.
So my brain's playing detective, huh? Trying to solve the case of the soggy lawn.
Exactly. It's weighing the evidence, using past experiences, those rainy nights, those forgotten sprinklers, to make sense of what it's seeing. We call that Bayesian inference.
Okay, I think I'm following so far. But it's not just about wet grass, is it? This predictive stuff, it's got to be happening all the time, right? All the time. From recognizing a familiar face in a crowd to, get this, even experiencing emotions.
Hold on, emotions too. Now you're really blowing my mind. How does that even work?
Well, Lisa Feldman Barrett has this whole book, How Emotions Are Made, and her argument is pretty radical. She says our feelings, they're not just hardwired reactions. They're actually based on, you guessed it, predictions. Predictions about what's going on inside our own bodies, what she calls our body budget.
Body budget. That sounds a little intense.
It's not as scary as it sounds. Imagine this. You're just chilling, then suddenly your heart starts racing. Do you instantly freak out, think something's wrong? Or maybe you just had a giant cup of coffee 10 minutes ago.
Oh, speak for yourself. I run on caffeine. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Sometimes I got to remind myself, dude, chill. It's the espresso, not a heart attack.
Exactly. That's your brain trying to make sense of your body's signals, sometimes getting a little ahead of itself, making predictions that aren't quite in line with your actual body budget.
So it's like a constant dance between what we expect and what's really going on, both out there in the world and within our own bodies.
You got it. And it gets even weirder when we start questioning what really going on actually means. This is where things get really interesting. Buckle up. Donald Hoffman, in his book, The Case Against Reality, he takes this whole idea of perception to a whole other level.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm ready.
Hoffman argues that what we perceive as reality, it's not that it's not real exactly. It's more like our brains are giving us an edited version, like a greatest hits album.
Okay, I think I'm with you, but you're going to have to break that down a little more. How is our reality like a greatest hits album?
All right, imagine this. You're playing a video game, right? You see characters, landscapes, objects. You don't see the millions of lines of code making it all work, the raw data behind the scenes. Our perception of reality, Hoffman argues, is kind of like that.
So we're only getting the highlights reel, the stuff our brains have evolved to care about for survival.
Exactly. And survival can play out in some really interesting ways. Take, for example, how we experience beauty.
Oh, here we go. My favorite topic.
Hoffman argues that we don't evolve to see beauty in some objective, universal way. We're drawn to what signals something deeper. He uses the example of men generally finding larger irises in women more attractive.
Wait, really? There's an evolutionary reason for that? I always thought it was just like a cultural thing.
Nope. Larger irises are often associated with youth, fertility, basically reproductive health. We're hardwired to pick up on those cues, even if we don't consciously realize it.
Wow. So even something as seemingly simple as attraction is tied to this whole prediction machine, survival of the fittest thing. Okay, so if our experience of reality is this constructed thing, what does that even mean for our sense of self, who we are?
That's where Anil Seth comes in with Being You.
Yeah.
He's tackling the big question, what does it even mean to be a self?
Right, because if my brain is making up all this other stuff, why not my own identity too, right?
Exactly. Seth argues that even our sense of self is a kind of perception, something our brains are actively creating. He talks about this wild experiment called the rubber hand illusion.
The what now?
So in this experiment, researchers found that when they manipulate visual, tactile, and proprioceptive signals in just the right way, people can start to feel like a rubber hand is their own.
Oh, wait, hold up. They feel it, even though it's not even attached to them.
Yeah. It shows just how malleable our sense of self can be. And get this, Seth even brings up octopuses.
Octopuses. Okay, now I know we've gone off the rails.
Not really. Their nervous systems are decentralized, which means maintaining a coherent sense of self is a constant challenge for them. It makes you wonder about the nature of consciousness, right?
Octopus is having an existential crisis. I think we need a whole other deep dive for that one. But I see your point. If our brains are constructing reality, our sense of self, where do we draw the line? What's next?
So much to unpack here. If our brains are basically constructing our reality, like on a fundamental level, how do we even begin to process that? It's like, whoa, what does it all mean?
It really makes you question everything, doesn't it? And that's where I think Andy Clark's work becomes so relevant. In Natural Born Cyborgs, he talks about how this blurring of boundaries between our minds, our bodies, and the world around us, it's not some weird anomaly. It's actually what makes us human.
Okay, break that down for me. How are we natural-born cyborgs? I mean, I haven't merged with a robot or anything.
Think about it. We're always extending our minds through tools, right? From the moment we start using language, we're shaping our thoughts, our communication through this external system.
That's true. Language is just like sounds, symbols, but it has this incredible power over how we understand the world. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. Think about smartphones. They've become extensions of our memory, our social lives, even our senses in a way. Clark's point is that we've always been merging with technology. It's part of what makes us human.
Okay, that's a pretty mind-blowing way to look at it. But it kind of makes sense, right? We're constantly interacting with the world, and those interactions are shaping who we are, how we see things. So if our reality is this, constantly evolving construction project, what does that mean for us moving forward?
It raises some really interesting questions, especially when you think about the rise of artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. If our brains are already so good at incorporating external tools into our sense of self, how do we design AI ethically? How do we make sure it doesn't, take advantage of our predictive brains?
Whoa, you're saying AI could potentially manipulate us in ways we don't even realize because our brains are already primed to integrate these tools into our reality.
It's a real concern. And it circles back to that idea of awareness. The more we understand about how our brains work, how they construct our reality, the better equipped we are to navigate this increasingly complex world.
This whole deep dive has been a wild ride. We've covered so much ground, from wet lawns to octopuses to the future of AI. If there's one thing I'm taking away from all of this, it's that reality is a lot more slippery than we tend to think.
Absolutely. And that's not a bad thing. It just means we have to stay curious, keep questioning our assumptions, and keep exploring the incredible, constantly shifting world inside our own heads.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. And remember, reality is what you make it, or at least what your brain makes it. Until next time, keep those minds open and those questions coming.